we have a final guest of the evening. His name is one that's very familiar, especially to Giants fans. We've got the San Francisco Giants CEO and President, Larry Baer. Please welcome him to the stage. Hi. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Do we have any Giants fans here?
Come on, yeah, of course. And on their behalf, I have to start with the new manager that we've hired. Congrats on that. There's a lot of excitement, also maybe a little bit of anxiety, perhaps. What made him stand out?
Well, so his name, we actually did the introduction today,
yeah, the press
5 hours ago, at the ballpark 6 hours ago. Tony Vitello, and Tony becomes the first ever manager of a major league team who came directly from a head coaching position at college, in the college world. And we're super excited about him. It was really, Buster, it's Buster's call, and it was a chance for Buster Posey. Do we like Buster Posey? Okay. He's our president of baseball operations.
Of course.
Those of you who are not baseball fans, and a Hall of Fame catcher and one of the great figures in San Francisco and New York Giants history, for that matter. Anyway, Buster had a chance to go out and hire his own new managers, his second year as head of baseball. Yeah. And he identified Tony for some really interesting reasons. And this came up at the press conference, and I'm not going to make our whole conversation about baseball, but I'd love to, because we're so excited about Tony. Tony is a really high energy individual. And what he accomplished at the University of Tennessee was taking a program that really wasn't much of a baseball program at all. They're in the SEC, and they were, a team that didn't win much. And through really the force of personality and his communication skills, was able to recruit and then create a NCAA championship team, went 3 years to the College World Series. But beyond that, and this is something that became evident in the industry as you talk to people throughout the industry, is just what is a supreme communicator. And for what we think is the world of Major League Baseball and really all professional sports, there's a premium in our view, and certainly in Buster's view, and he was in uniform only 4 or 5 years ago, clubhouse communication. And keeping and leadership and keeping everybody on the same page. And we have a saying that for a manager, it's as important what you do from last out to first pitch as what you do from first pitch to last out. Meaning, it's the travel, it's going to the 26th man on the team and talking to him about playing time when he's not playing. It's talking to the guy that's having other issues, anxiety issues, whatever, and getting them to perform and addressing their issues. So Tony's, I think, somebody that our fans are going to fall in love with.
Okay, yeah, we're excited to see what he brings to the table.
Yes.
Honestly, we could spend the whole conversation about that. But we got to talk about downtown, just as important.
Sure.
Let's set the scene. You've lived in SF for a long time. You've seen it go through a lot of changes. How would you sum up the current storyline playing in the downtown SF?
So I think we're going through yet another, having grown up in San Francisco, we're going through another revitalization. And
when was the last one?
And so I'd say this is maybe a little bit akin, but I think more so than 2000, right? So in year 2000, we actually opened the ballpark in 2000, but that was the environment where Google and Yahoo and all of the technology companies were coming onto the scene and changing the world in certain ways. I think we have that now with AI, but also all the AI adjacent companies that have determined that truly San Francisco and Silicon Valley, yes, but San Francisco even more so, is the place where the intellectual capital exists, is the place where the top engineers want to come. And are we okay here? The lights go down.
Yeah, we need a second.
Is that mood lighting?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
We're back. where the top engineers want to, come off the campuses of,
Right.
Cal and Stanford, but also, colleges from around the world. And so I see that as a real positive inflection point. I also see that where we are just coming out of the pandemic, that people want to be together in urban environments. We have a project called Mission Rock, and our mantra, and I think this is becoming more and more part of urban planning, and I think San Francisco's a perfect, sort of exhibit A for this, is live, work, play. So that you can have folks living downtown or around downtown, Mission Bay, Mission Rock, Dogpatch, Potrero Hill, Hayes Valley. They live there, they walk to work, they take a quick ride share to work, they rollerblade to work, they bike to work.
Rollerblade.
What, a rollerblade? You're a rollerblader, Shawna?
That would be cool. If I could, I would love to.
we have a lot that come to games. We have a whole thing with the
Oh,
Bicycle
wow.
Coalition,
Okay.
where we have a checking for rollerblades
Wait,
and
that's
for
amazing.
bicycles. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the play part. So if you think about the Embarcadero now, we have the ballpark, we have Chase Center, which is fantastic. We have all the attractions along the Embarcadero, whether it's the Exploratorium or the restaurants. The ferry building is amazing. So that live, work, play environment, I think is really played into San Francisco's renaissance.
Yeah, like part of the DNA in a way.
Yeah.
Got it. You've also been at the forefront of countering the doom loop narrative, which, in my opinion, has kind of dogged San Francisco for a little bit longer than it needs to, perhaps. But you've worked with organizations like Advance San Francisco, Partnership for San Francisco. Why was it important for you to use your platform that way?
So, first of all, it's a very personal thing, having grown up here in San Francisco and caring a lot about San Francisco. Beyond that, I feel like the San Francisco Giants are more than another business. We wear San Francisco across our chest. In some ways, we're like almost viewed as a quasi-public utility, even though we're privately held. It's we take great pride in the fact that people think of us as in and of the community, right? And so as such, we have a platform, we have a megaphone. Our games are on the air, for 6-7 months a season, during the season, 3 hours a day, pre and post, talk radio, lots of social media, lots of press. So we have a platform where we can have some perhaps outsized, impact with our voice. And the other thing, and I referenced the pandemic a second ago, there's such a need for a sense of community coming out of, I think we were all, frustrated, lonely, et cetera, being separated from each other. And a ballpark is a way to bring people together and convene. And with downtown impacted by the pandemic, I think we could be, the Giants can really play a role in reconvening the community.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I feel like it's always fun to go to games, and especially so just like milling around and getting all the food and seeing what people are eating.
Garlic fries or crab sandwiches or hot dogs?
Garlic fries.
There we
always,
go. Okay.
Yeah.
Any garlic fries, people? Yeah.
Garlic fries.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned, right, Oracle Park is proximity downtown, and also your Mission Rock development, which is ongoing. It's a mixed-use development. How can we leverage big brands like the Giants to help diversify the types of activities that we see downtown? You've also talked about sports as a civic catalyst, which I think is an interesting term.
I think, one of the big things, one of the big challenges for a city like San Francisco, and it happens in other big cities like San Francisco, bigger cities, even New York, et cetera, is to make sure that we have an inclusive environment, and inclusive meaning, obviously diversity, racial and ethnic diversity, but also income diversity. So in our Mission Rock project, it's 40% affordable housing, and the affordability scales, part of it is, people then, on lower fixed incomes, but also workforce. And one of the things I think we really need to attack in a city like San Francisco, with the property values as they are, and more housing being built, but more housing needed, is where are the public school teachers going to live? Where are the nurses at UCSF or CPMC or St. Mary's going to live? Where are the police and fire fighters going to live? And we need to find ways to create workforce housing, subsidized workforce housing. So a big part of our project and other projects is to create that workforce housing, which is a big need for San Francisco, and that's part of the diversity. So I think economic diversity is really important. We can't be a city where it's just the folks at the higher end of the spectrum, because that's not going to work with all the institutions that we need and all the employment we need.
Yeah, that's definitely an ongoing conversation, especially as Sujata mentioned with the kind of AI boom happening. Moving on to a separate topic, we saw an incredible amount of activity driven by sporting events this year, especially with the NBA All-Star Game. We've got the Super Bowl coming up, we've got the World Cup matches next year. How can the city capitalize on these events to not only draw tourists and boost economic activity, but really ensure that even like residents who are coming out for these events are returning on a more regular basis?
I think that's really important. So in part when we have these big events, so whether it's the Super Bowl, which is going to be in Santa Clara, World Cup's going to be in Santa Clara as well. The NBA All-Star Game was here. We have all of the Giants games here. I'm going to go be very bold and say we'll host a World Series this year, next year too. We'll add that.
Okay, all right. Cheers to that, yeah.
I think what's important is not everybody is going to be able to be in the 40,000 that are in the ballpark or the 70,000 that are in in Levi's, but everybody can participate in other ways. So we're doing a fan fest this year. We'll be doing this coming year for the World Cup. We'll also be hosting various events tied into the Super Bowl in San Francisco. And what's a fan fest? That's a chance for kids to come and play games and absorb the environment of the Super Bowl or the World Cup. Or we did this with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game when we hosted here in 2007. And so I think to have community events to rally around these big activities, you have watch parties, and where everybody gets together. The Warriors do watch parties for away games. And so it could be free, it could be a nominal amount, but you feel part of it. I think I used to take the bus to Candlestick with my dad to watch Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and all the greats that played for the Giants in that era. And the experience for me started, and part of the experience was just getting on the bus and wearing, a Giants hat and a jacket, and everybody with their bells and whistles and rooting. So there's a community aspect to it, even if you're not at the ballpark.
Right. I think we saw that a lot this year too with the Valkyries first season.
Yes.
Just the lavender everywhere. So it was pretty amazing to see. And we've got the now potential pro women's baseball team. I saw.
I think that's really exciting. We want to learn more about that. We've had a few overtures about getting involved with the women's pro baseball team. So super excited. Want to learn more about that. The other thing that is great is the number of music events that are happening. Some of them, we've done some free music events at the Mission Rock, the China Basin Park by Mission Rock. The city has staged some free events at the Civic Center Plaza for music. And music is, we see music and sports and food, culture, it's all really part of the fabric of a city. There's been all these initiatives where there's been the First Thursday events, the East Cut events. All of that is really we're all in the same universe of bringing people together, and most of those events are no charge, right? It's basically donated food and beverage to get people involved.
Yeah, definitely. Just to end things on a lighter note, what would you say are some of the most memorable moments you've had downtown with fans or players?
Well, I think, this may be kind of an obvious one, but it was very emotional for me. When we did win the championships in 10, 12, and 14, and in 2010, the first one, I was sitting on the stage at City Hall, and I was sitting next to Brian Sabian, who was our longtime general manager, brilliant baseball guy, heart of gold, very tough on the outside, he was, he's a very, serious baseball person. On the inside, heart of gold, mush. And he had been with the Yankees. They signed Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera at the Yankees, and came over and did the same thing with us, with Tim Lincecum and Madison Bumgarner and Buster Posey, et cetera. Anyway, we're sitting there in 2010, and we're sitting on the stage, and there's people as far as you can see. And he leaned over to me with tears in his eyes and said, this is much more than winning and losing games. This is about families having shared experiences. And we looked out and we saw mothers and sons and grandparents and everybody coming together. And I'll never forget that comment and that scene where people came together. There was, I don't know, the estimates, 1 million people, whatever, on the parade route. There was not one incident. I mean, there were people having fun. There were people climbing up trees along Market Street, but there wasn't a single disturbance or incident or issue. And to me, that's what it's all about. Obviously that's a parade, but then every game, you see generations of people enjoying games, and that's what I think about, and I think about what the Giants can do.
I think that's a beautiful connection to the vision we have for downtown as well. Yeah. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thanks so much, Shawna. Thank you.
Thank you.